Okay, Rick, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. The title of this episode is going to be Are Self-Love and Ego Paradoxical? Rick, why don't you kick us off?
Oh my, that's a big topic. Well, here are my thoughts on it. I guess, first of all, I guess it seems if people watch these podcasts and they know how hard we try to suppress our egos, the idea of me being more important or superior to other people, which is what our egos try to do. It's a self-protecting mechanism. We're counseling against that, but at the same time, we're also counseling for self-love. And that seems inconsistent because it seems like if you have self-love, the ego is going to go crazy and take you out of who you want to be, or put you in a position where you're not really appreciating other people. I think it boils down to this. I think the ego is a defense mechanism that will always be present, that you can never get rid of, but you have to keep your eye on. It's like, I don't know, I hate to use this analogy, but let's say a weapon. You have a weapon that you keep locked in a cabinet, but every once in a while, if there's someone who is trying to kill you, then you take it out and use it. The ego is sort of like that. It's not an exact analogy, but the notion is that the ego needs to be managed. It can't run nuts. It can't go roughshod over your life because if that happens, you're not going to be a happy person. You're going to be a small person that's at the mercy of feeling superior to other people. That doesn't get you anywhere, and it's not where you want to be if you're interested in self-growth. So the ego needs to be managed. On the other hand, self-love, when we're talking about love, we're talking about a deep-seated appreciation for the soul, for our personal soul, for who we are and what we like about ourselves. Now, here's something that maybe a little bit odd for people to get, but I think it's important for people to take out a piece of paper and write down all of the things that you'd like to hear from another person to tell you about you. For example, um, if I if I want love in my life, I would try to look at myself as someone I don't know, but someone that I've been with maybe for a little bit of time, and I'm starting to get to know what are the things that I like about myself. Write them down. What is it? I like the way that you handle your discipline. You go to the gym. I like the way that you are always helping other people. I like the way that you let people in traffic. I like the way that you give gifts. I like the way that you love touching other people or feel like you want to have a connection with other people. And you're talking about yourself when you're writing these things down. So I got this idea from Liz Gilbert, who's an author. She did Eat, Pray, Love. And she said that she was going through a really terrible time. I think she was messing up with a divorce, having a lot of self-doubt about whether she was a worthy person. She just was out of sorts. Everything that was exterior to her kept interrupting her life, and she was being run by externals in her life and felt down in the dumps. So she did this exercise of self-love, and that's the taking out of the piece of paper and writing down the things that you want to hear from other people about you. Oh, Rick, I really like how you managed that concern that came up for you about not giving enough love to your dead mother. I know that's a deep idea, but if it's there, you need to put it down. If that's something that you admire about yourself, and you can. I don't think there's a limit to how much of that you can do. It's just like saying that, the more you love, the more love comes to you, and that's true with the self-love as well. So my point is that self-love is independent of the ego. Self-love has to do with a deep-seated enjoyment and celebration of who you are and what you've done with your life. And everybody has that, but we don't recognize it. We suppress it. We tend to think the worst things, and we have a narrative about ourselves that usually isn't so great, like I always screw up or I'm not good at this. If you get down to the point where you can write what you love about yourself, what you love, really love about yourself, and that's honest, that is completely different than living out there as an egomaniac where you're acting in a way where you're always defensive, you're always doubting other people, you're always doubting yourself. Totally opposite. Self-love is very different, very deep, very personal. Ego is a defense mechanism that's there to ward off harm coming to you. Very different things.
Yeah, I like that, Rick. Yeah, when I think of ego, I think it's your perception of things out there, that are in your way, things that are minimizing your capacity to get what you want or things like that. When I think of self-love, I think of I think of feeling good, experiencing ecstasy.
Mm.
When I think of ego, I think of the exact opposite. I don't feel love. I feel superior, or I feel that others are trying to make me inferior, minimize me, things like that. Like when I'm experiencing self-love, I feel, here's a better definition. I feel peaceful.
Mm.
How do I know it's ego? I'm not peaceful.
Mm.
I'm striving, trying to protect, trying to defend. I'm something, but I'm certainly not peaceful. That's when I feel self-love. I feel ego when what I see on the outside feels like a threat. When I am self-love, I'm aware of what's going on outside, but it doesn't occur for me as a threat. If it's a challenge, it occurs to me like, oh, this is great for my practice, and just the awareness of that brings me peace. And so in terms that again translates to me as self-love. That and the threat doesn't have to be outside, the threat can be inside with my personal self. And oftentimes in all the reality, that's where the threat is. It's not out there. It's in here. It's that personal mind where the ego, resides. That's the issue for me. So like you, I don't think it's paradoxical between the different, self-love and ego. Self-love is it's it's about abundance, it's about peace, it's about loving in such a way that you're just sharing love with other people. Like you're for me, my cup is full. Like I don't feel put out, I don't feel anything. And when ego's in the way, it's there's a limit to how much I'm going to give you. There's a limit to how much I'm going to take. When I am in the rapture of self-love, I the concept of limit doesn't even occur for me. I'm just giving.
Mhm.
That's it. I'm just giving. That's it. And so I really like this topic a lot, Rick. And I think people define it, in many ways. I think for me is I am practicing self-love when I'm peaceful, when I feel I'm at peace. It's ego when that's not present. So did you want to say anything else, Rick, to wrap us up?
I think that's beautiful, Keith. I think we should end it right there. That's a beautiful thought. Yeah, the idea of inner peace being the barometer of how you measure your consciousness about loving yourself. It's a great idea.
Great. Thank you, Rick. I love you.
I love you, Keith. Thanks for including me today.
You're welcome.